Hello, my friends. Today I'm just going to share with you the three scriptures that God gave to me yesterday and then in today that explain exactly where we're at and what we're waiting for and what's coming and the countries and the nations and the issues and the problems and everything. These three scriptures God gave me between last night and today. If you read them with eyes that see these things, you will see exactly what I'm saying as I read the scriptures. We know that the world, there's nothing new under the sun. We know that scripture lives forever. We know God is a God of the living. We know the word never dies because this world never changes. God can do something new and he will do something new, but the world cannot and does not do anything new. So how God acts and judges and deals with the world is exactly how he did 6,000 years ago. And he's given the world many of different chances, but we're not even going to get into that. Just the actual scriptures that God has showed me, and then I will share with you what I have learned and known from the scriptures that God taught me. And this is all of his word that I will share with you, and I will share with you the understanding that he has given me in the spirit of his word. So Job 20 was the first one that came to me. And I'm just going to start reading this, and then I'll stop and I'll share with you what God taught me from Job 20. Then Zophar and Nemathite replied, "My troubled thoughts prompt me to answer, because I am greatly disturbed. I hear a rebuke that dishonors me, and my understanding inspires me to reply." This was the Lord telling me that he's giving me, whether I wanted to or not, whether I thought I was right or not, he is giving me the ability to stand firm in his word against the many in the world who do not know what they do. And they do not know what they do because their sins are piled up to the heavens, and they have not truly allowed the Lord to enter into their heart and become like his mind. This group, the first group that'll say they love you if you agree with them, but are also the first group that will attack like a pack of wolves if you do not. And I don't name names, I don't name peoples, don't name denominations, don't name anything. You know a fruit, or you know a tree by its fruit. By their fruits you shall know them, and so shall all of you who are listening know exactly what I'm talking about whenever you hear it compared to the scriptures. Continuing on, surely you know how it has been from of old, ever since mankind was placed on the earth, that the mirth of the wicked is brief, the joy of the godless lasts but a moment. Though the pride of the godless person reaches to the heavens, and his head touches the clouds, he will perish forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him will say, "Where is he?" Like a dream he flies away, no more to be found, banished like a vision of the night. The eye that saw him will not see him again. His place will look on him no more. His children must make amends to the poor. What this is saying, what God taught me of the scripture, is exactly kind of what I just said. Haven't not even understood that I was going to say it like that. But that everything that is in this world is brief, lasts but just a second, whether righteous or not. And the godless ones, their thoughts and their pride, they think they prevail while they live because they take authority from those who don't desire the authority, because they realize there is no authority to be had on earth. But this type of people, they truly, truly get under the nails, so to speak, of the Lord, just like whenever Jesus spoke out against this type multiple times whenever he walked the earth. This type never changes, never sees, and they're doomed to their destruction because their father is Satan, and there is nothing anybody will do to change how they believe and think. And God, for whatever reasons are his and his alone, allows everything as it does to continue because it's for his purpose and his will. And we see a reference to the rapture and to Jesus, where they mock him. Those who have seen him will say, "Where is he?" Like a dream he flies away, no more to be found. Banished like a vision of the night, the eye that saw him will not see him again. These are the many hypocrites which sit in the pews and don't really believe in him, the many hypocrites which will fulfill different scriptures after the rapture, because they know, they've seen him, they understand who Christ is, they know his words, but like a dream he just suddenly flies away, and that's exactly what it's like during the visitation. We'll continue on. His own hand must give back his wealth. The youthful vigor that fills his bones will lie with him in the dust. All of this is talking about how the world believes itself to be young and beautiful and pretty, and it's saving itself, but it's actually just a bag of bones that's coming, and the Lord is going to turn it into dust, as we know by his word. Though evil is sweet in his mouth, and he hides it under his tongue, though he cannot bear to let it go, and lets it linger in his mouth, yet his food will turn sour in his stomach. It will become the venom of serpents within him. He will spit out the riches he swallowed. God will make his stomach vomit them up. He will suck the poison of serpents. The fangs of the adder will kill him. He will not enjoy the streams, the rivers flowing with honey and cream. What he toiled for he must give back uneaten, for he will not enjoy the profit from his trading. For he has oppressed the poor and left them destitute. He has seized houses he did not build. And all of this, you can go back to even Jesus' own words, those who buy and sell, the 5 wise virgins, the 5 foolish virgins. He's speaking of his own that proclaim to know him, yet they don't. Everything that they believe they had worked for in all these 2,000 years since Christ, everything they believe the church they belong to worked for, he's going to chew them up and spit them out, just like we see in Revelations chapters 2 and 3. So it's talking about his own people, but yet it's also talking about the people of the world which do not believe in him. Everything that they have built, the great cities, the multitudes, all of the great technology and all of these things, in a moment it's done. He's going to chew it up and spit it out the same way. So everything they think they're prospering with right now, everything they think they're building their future on, God is going to tear it down. Surely he will have no respite for his craving. He cannot save himself by his treasure. Nothing is left for him to devour. His prosperity will not endure. In the midst of his plenty, distress will overtake him. The full force of misery will come upon him. When he has fulfilled his belly, God will vent his burning anger against him and rain down his blows on him. This is speaking of a time after the rapture, after the rescue, where the world is fat for the slaughter, meaning it's grown so fat and so heavy and to be such a burden on the earth itself that the misery that they have put people under the guise that they are doing good and helping people, is so much that not even the heavens can look at it and say, let's give it another chance. These are talking about all the governments and all the kings of the world and all the kingdoms of the world and all of those who believe themselves to do good, but their motivations are nothing but evil. These are wicked. And God tells us that by his own anger, he will rain down the blows on them. So they're not fighting just against the world. They're fighting against God. And this may happen right after the rapture. It might happen further on down from the rapture. I'm really not sure. But what I know is this is God's anger against the people of the earth in judgment, which the judgment can begin on the whole world as soon as the faithful depart. So it really doesn't matter whether it's earlier or later. This is what it is. So though he flees from an iron weapon, a bronze-tipped arrow pierces him. He pulls it out of his back, the gleaming point out of his liver. Terrors will come over him. Total darkness lies in wait for his treasure. A fire unfanned will consume him and devour what is left in his tent. The heavens will expose his guilt. The earth will rise up against him. A flood will carry off his house, rushing waters on the day of God's wrath. Such is the fate God allots the wicked, the heritage appointed for them by God. Revelation 12. Let's look at the circumstances which this absolutely fits and fulfills, and is another piece of Revelation 12 scripture you can look at and point to and say, this is what's going to happen at this time period. We know we're talking about iron and bronze tip arrows. We're talking about the nations. In this one, we're talking about Western civilization. He flees from iron weapons and bronze tipped arrows, pierces him. We're talking about a total war of the nations like Britain, the United States, Russia. We're talking about a world war circumstance, and that they're trying to flee from these weapons which are the best in the world. And people think that they're going to go away from them, but they're not. All the treasures that they have built, the fire will consume them. And he's also talking about those who believe themselves to be pure, believe themselves that they will be purified and are not going to go through the tribulation because they have believed that they're superior to others. They have not had mercy on others. They have only wanted to receive the mercy themselves. We know that he's talking about his own whenever he talks about total darkness lies in wait for the ones with treasure. The heavens will expose his guilt. So it's talking about the sins all the way up to the heaven, and the earth will rise up against him. A flood will carry off his house. The end of Revelation chapter 12. We know Satan tries to put the flood over the whole world and consume those who go up in the rapture, but they escape. But who doesn't escape? The earth opens up and swallows this. So the earth rises up. The flood carries off the houses of those who are on the earth, meaning the nations, the countries, and everything that we've built. Because such as the fate God allots to the wicked, the heritage appointed for them by God. So you have the moment where Satan then goes to go after all of those who will still maintain that Jesus Christ is Lord, because they will have their Bibles in their hand and they will understand what's going on, and God then will give them strength to actually believe his word. He will remove the stumble block from them, because he will then go back to the Jews. And what happens? You can't believe, not many at least, some obviously, but not many will believe someone of their own house. So it's the reason why the Christians don't truly have faith in Jesus Christ, because he's of their house. The Jews, whenever they see all this going, because he's in the Christian's house, they will believe him after his visitation. But the Christians won't believe him until he goes back to the house of the Jews. In other words, the end of the period of the Gentiles. That's when the Christians that call themselves Christians, the worldly Christians, that's when they'll believe Jesus. So you see, God has this heritage, the harvest appointed for them at this time, and it matches up, of course, with Revelation 12. I don't want to make too long of a video, so I will go and make 2 other videos in now or the next couple of days about the other 2 pieces of scripture that God has given to me to speak of. But this was Job 20, and in the world, and what God taught me of Job 20 last night. So God bless you.